my wrist. So as I lay there, thinking, this did not end well for the Titanic, but you know what? I don't care. I worried how my team would perceive my weakness. On board were 24 full-time ship's crew and 120 passengers. Well, as far as the crew were concerned, we were passengers, but we considered ourselves expeditioners. We were professionals. We were trained. We had been chosen. We were going to live in Antarctica for a year, and I was their leader, and I was very, very sick. My close friend Graham Cook, the incoming station leader at Mawson Station, stuck his head in at some stage. "Can I get you anything, mate?" In my head I replied, "Yes, you can take your happy, bloody sea dog face out of my cabin doorway." But in reality I mumbled, "All good, Cookie, thanks." Still no closer to my hoped-for coma, and with several new bruises and half a kilo lighter, another knock on my cabin door. The captain, bless him, resplendent in his P&O finery, poked his cheery head in. "Morning." "Oh, no better, I see. Still, don't worry, you're not the only one." I tried to respond, opened my mouth and just squeaked. I had no voice, no energy, and barely the will to respond. I opened and closed my mouth like a mute and flapped one hand feebly. I managed to get out one question. I'm not sure how it sounded, but the captain understood. "The other passengers?" "Oh, pretty much the same as you. In fact, if it's any consolation, over 100 of you are laid up. Several are even on an IV drip for fluids." It alarmed me to learn that out of 144 people, only some of the crew and 16 expeditioners were still functioning. They were probably slogging it out in 4-hour shifts trying to keep the ship running. For some reason, this made me feel a bit better. Not physically, of course. But knowing that not only the passengers, but even some of the crew were suffering, made me feel a little less hopeless. It's one thing to be an expedition leader. It's another thing to be a woman expedition leader. And it's yet another to be a young woman expedition leader. At 35, I was one of the youngest expedition leaders ever, and only the second female leader at Davis Station. And the last time I had even seen snow was on a grade 6 school excursion to Mount Donna Buang. And seriously, I hate the cold. Feeling a bit better about myself, I spent the next 3 hours reconstructing how on earth I had been selected to lead the 58th Australian National Antarctic Research Expedition to Davis Station. Then I panicked. Part 1. How I got there. Be restless. Create a life that seeks challenges, root out opportunities, and jump in at the deep end. You don't have to be the smartest in the class. You don't have to be super driven, but you do need to have an eye open at all times for interesting things that might come your way. When they come along, take a leap and back your judgment. If it doesn't work out, you will have learned something about yourself. And seriously, what's the worst that can happen? Chapter 1. Leadership can be learned and taught early. My first memory of leadership is from grade 1. I was an early reader. My parents had encouraged me to read the newspaper over their shoulder at breakfast on Saturday mornings. I was also the youngest in school. I started at the tender age of 4, so from the outset I felt behind. This was one reason Mum pushed me hard to learn how to read before I got there. She knew that I would be less developed physically and socially when I got to school, and wanted to make sure I wouldn't be behind intellectually. I quickly got the hang of it, and by the time I reached grade 1, I was topping the class. Leader without a title. My teacher was the most beautiful woman, Miss Barton, who became Mrs. Williamson later in the year, dashing the hopes and hearts of many young boys in my class. She quickly recognized that I was not only a great reader, but also very encouraging with those around me. Rather than having me sitting bored at the back of the class and destined to distract others, a trait that came to the fore in secondary